Good morning, Kezran. How are you doing today?
Um, Midterm today, but
Sorry?
I'm somewhat sleep deprived because I have a midterm today.
Oh no. Well, do you feel like you need to be here this morning?
Not necessarily. I did the tutorial question
Hmm.
like just a couple minutes ago. So
Okay.
that's yeah, so
Well,
I
let's
that's really
uh,
that.
tell you what. Let's go over this very quickly, you and me, and then we will um, call it a day so that you can get some rest before your midterm.
Okay, no problem, sir.
All right. So walk me through what you got.
Okay. So D takes out his trash every morning and places it in a bin available for the houses on his block. On the 9th of March, after taking his trash to the usual place,
I lost you, Kezran. Are you here? Can you hear me? You've gone silent, Kezran. I can't hear anything you're saying. Um, can
hello?
you put you're back. You're back. Okay. Uh
Yeah, it froze just now.
well it happens. It happens. Tech issues happen. The last thing I heard was on March 9th, and then you cut out.
Okay. So on March 9th, after taking his trash to the usual place, his neighbor V is also taking out his own trash. A light breeze blew, and V smells a strong odor coming from D's trash. He moves quickly to avoid the scent, but in the process trips over his own feet. V is then taken to the hospital and as a result was unable to fulfill a contract to another party which had caused him to lose the amount of $15,000 which he had paid in advance.
Okay, so explain to me how this falls short on the elements of the remoteness analysis.
Okay, so when I was looking on the three questions that were in the document
Mhm.
that was sent, so I was looking on the few questions, and the first one was, were the external factors which caused the damage a reasonable foreseeable source of damage? And so I was thinking to myself, okay, in what circumstance could you have something that someone has done in which there is not a on which whatever object they've used in the action is not a reasonable source of
Mhm.
damage. And so I thought garbage. And then and then I was like, okay, but there are ways I can see in which garbage could cause some form of harm if there is some sort of negligence. And so I started filling in those little gaps by stating that
You froze again.
Hello?
Okay, you're back. Great. Awesome. All right.
I think it's the weather. It's raining earlier.
Where are you? Now I'm curious.
Antigua.
Okay. All right. I'm the weather's there's no weather in Barbados, so I was just curious as to where you were. All right. So the last thing that I heard before you froze up again, and I agree with you that it may be the weather, because I have definitely experienced connection issues when the weather is not great. But the last thing I heard was that you had come up with the notion of garbage as being a not reasonably foreseeable source of danger. And yeah, and that's the last thing that I heard. So
Okay, no
can you
problem.
pick it up from there, please?
Yes. So after I developed that thought process, I said that there were some instances I see in which there could be negligence and then damage would actually be foreseeable for a source of harm. So I tried to clean that up a bit by essentially stating that the place in which the bin that he uses is the same bin that everyone else in that vicinity uses, rather than his own personal individual bin.
Right. Right. A community dumpster rather than a personal bin.
Yes.
I'm following.
So then I then looked on if there was reasonable foreseeability with regards to the external agencies, right? So it says, if so, was it reasonably foreseeable how these external agencies would cause the damage?
The manner of harm analysis, or what we've been calling the Daphnis test.
Yes, basically. And so from there, I continued writing my fact pattern, and I essentially stated that the neighbor, it wasn't like the neighbor tripped or anything of that sort with regards to the garbage, but it was more of a matter as this is placed here every single day. It's always here. It just happens that this time there's a bad smell, which the neighbor does not like. And so he takes upon himself to now begin moving quickly in a manner to now avoid the scent. In which process he trips over his own feet. So he didn't even trip over something else, he trips over his own feet.
Right.
So I personally, I would not have thought of that as something that was reasonably foreseeable.
Right.
So then I moved on to the type of damage, and I didn't want to do a type of damage where it was harm to the neighbor, even though I still think it won't be in liability. But I still didn't want to move on to that type of damage. I wanted to look at some sort of damage that you would be able to say, okay, this is definitely too remote. And so I decided to look on financial. And so I stated that V is taken to the hospital. So the neighbor is taken to the hospital. And as a result of him being taken to the hospital, he cannot fulfill a contract which he had previously made. And as a result of that, he loses a large sum of money, that which he would have paid in advance for the purpose of the contract.
Okay, so I think you hit all the marks exactly right. One thing that I would encourage you to think about, and I don't think this changes your analysis, but I think that, this is a different angle that you could look at this through, would be to ask yourself, what if the instrument of harm isn't the garbage, but rather the neighbor's feet? Right? So you make a point of saying that he trips over his own feet. And so could the defense lawyer argue that actually we didn't have anything to do with this at all, because there's this intervening cause issue? Now I think, again, you've met the call of the tutorial, and you've done this exactly right. This is just me sort of throwing out for you something else to be thinking about. So don't think of this as criticism. This is just an alternative framework.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So I think this is really well done. I appreciate, the time and the energy that you put into this. What is your midterm today? Remind me.
Criminal law.
Okay, well then I'm gonna let you go because you say you haven't had a lot of rest. I want you to go and get some rest before your midterm. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. No
no problem. You take care. All right, and I will see you tomorrow. So, all right, bye, Kesrin.